Hello, everybody. Oh, did I not say that? Oh, did you? Were you waiting for "Hey, everybody"? Jason Burmis here. Well, I'm gonna keep it at a low pace right now because we're gonna do a big old exclusive watch along of Earth 2100. And what is Earth 2100? Well, it's a predictive programming propaganda piece that tries to give you all these different types of chicken little scenarios about the future of the planet back in 2009 with people like John Podesta and Van Jones. And by incorporating stock footage of actual events that essentially demonize human beings and their behaviors, okay, and then legitimize things like New York City in quarantine, people in camps, people in masks, and much more. And this will also dovetail into the climate change agenda, again, of people are bad, and the earth is doomed, and we need to do something about it. And what this is this tells you some truth in the aspect of these operations are going to be A, either carried out, or B, exploited on their behalf to what? Demonstrate their force that you see here. And also give the warning that if you resist, these type of things could happen, like you could be gunned down in a camp, which is a part of this. If you look at the thumbnail, you can take a good look. You know, some of this happens earlier on. This was 2 hours with commercials back in the day. But, you know, you're talking like total surveillance states. You're seeing the people break free. You're seeing the officers on top shooting at those people. You're seeing the people in fear, in masks, with authoritarians beside. You can obviously see the virus in the background. You see, you know, droughts and, you know, the Midwest being overcome with locusts, all these different things. When we know we've had geoengineering, when we know we've had bioengineering for a very, very long time. And I would argue that the very people that are promoting these things may be behind the agenda of carrying them out. Again, to normalize the idea that humans are bad and we have to do something about it. And all these problems, right, including the one we're facing now when they were trying to go bat pangolin, okay, were what? Were our fault, and obviously it's the way we're treating Mother Earth. So here's what we're going to do. We can't play this whole thing on YouTube. It's just not even a possibility. Again, it's an hour and a half long. I know it's late night. We'll probably be up till, you know, it's midnight in the Midwest. Midnight in the Midwest, okay? We'll probably go to 3 a.m. on this because I won't be able to shut up. But the bottom line, it needs to be done. So what we're going to do is we're going to play a little bit of this. Thumbs it up. Come on, YouTube. Thumbs it up. Subscribe and share. All the links are down below. But we're going to cut it off at a certain point, and then we're going to go full Rockfin. So if you want the full video, again, make the free Rockfin account. We're 30,000 plus strong. Go follow us over there. If you do become a premium subscriber, you get everybody's stuff. And I'm actually going to be putting up an old school, like 45-minute piece where I'm talking about pandemic level 6 and the swine flu and the WHO and mandatory inoculations and mandatory quarantines and removal and all these things over a decade ago. All right. So without further ado, you know, this was a highly produced piece. Okay. Again, a lot of the same faces and names keep popping up over a decade. Van Jones, Podesta. But again, they did it in an artistic manner. We're out of the gates. You see it not only with like the comic book value of it, right? but the fear-based Hollywood value that I lived through New York City under full quarantine.
In my life, I've seen New York City under full quarantine. The Midwest overrun, devastated by pests. Plague sweep across California. And then, what happened next was something none of us saw coming. It became a race against time to save our future, to even have a future. It's the year 2100, and I survived.
To change the future, first you have to imagine it. Earth 2100 starts now.
The idea that within this century, perhaps in your lifetime, our civilization could lie in ruins seems unbelievable. But according to some of the world's leading minds, that's not just a worst-case scenario. It's a real possibility.
And again, it's always experts and leading minds. And I want to remind everybody right now, how many experts and leading minds have recently led us astray, have recently been dishonest with us, continue to change their story to suit the narrative that ensures the most authoritarian outcome for the people.
Good evening, I'm Bob Woodruff. Over the next 2 hours, we'll take you on a journey into a world that could await us and our children. 370,000 babies will be born today. And we've taken the liberty of creating one more, a fictional character we're calling Lucy, who will be our guide through this century. Her life story is not a prediction about what will happen, but what might happen.
Again, highly produced. And I want to say this. The timeline that they predict these things to happen, you know, some of the things that you'll see, like the masks, are much later on. I think they're somewhere around like 2050 or whatever. Okay? But the timeline is really null and void, right? It's putting these ideas into your head and these disasters into your head so you become subconsciously reactive to them and their propaganda later on when some of it comes to fruition. I'm probably going to get a copyright strike just from all the guitar. But you... Destitute. Everything looks terrible.
This once glorious city, whose lights at night could be seen for miles, empty now. Its towering skyscrapers, once a testament to our ingenuity, now stand as crumbling monuments to our demise.
Crumbling monuments to our demise. This once great city. Right? The monument to globalization. We didn't heed their words. We didn't obey John Podesta and the United Nations. Why? Why? Why did we not listen to Van Jones? Van Jones, could there be a more disingenuous political operative out there? Van Jones, let's put him on blast right now while YouTube continues to basically delete history, right? Take videos down. We've seen that during COVID 1984, but now start to age restrict just outright witness accounts of 9/11. The Epstein evidence, just age restrict it all. Okay? It's happening in real time. They're doing it. And Van Jones, he started questioning 9/11. He thought he could push back against the Bush administration back in the day. Watch some of Radowski's stuff with him. That stopped quick. Huh? Hey, Van, you ever seen Loose Change? Gee, I wonder, Van.
Maybe only artists can grasp what that kind of future really holds for us. It's perhaps in the area that we think of today as science fiction, but that could be a very real future for the planet.
100 years from now, if New York is abandoned, I can imagine some advanced creatures, maybe humans, maybe extraterrestrials, looking at New York and saying, those ignorant people, how on earth could they have ever expected to survive?
How could they ever have expected to survive? Again, this mythos that we have to be on a path of destruction just for existing. And again, notice how they slid in the extraterrestrial thing? That's not an accident either. You know, again, you look at those Podesta emails, that was another big thing John Podesta pushes, is aliens and disclosure. And, I've done videos on how I think that, unfortunately, the dude from Blink-182 is being manipulated via Mirage Men type tactics on that.
I can ask myself what happened, but where do I begin? With the droughts, the famines, the plague? It began long before all that.
The droughts, the famine, the plague. Oh, it started long. It started so long. Let's go all the way back to 2009 when I was born. We were already fucking up the planet.
I lived through it all. My story is everyone's story.
See that manipulation? This is our story. This is your story.
The story of the last century.
And they had a website with this. They promoted it in there. Oh man, this had big NGO money behind it.
I was born June 2nd, 2009. Civilization was at a crossroads. We were in a race for our future.
Today, I say to you that the challenges we face are real. They are serious and they are many.
The temperature is expected to keep going up.
The stock market plunged.
Douglas County will run out of drinking water.
They will not be met easily or in a short span of time.
A sixth grader came down with suspected swine flu.
Oh, there it is, piggy flu. Now again, this is all the hype and the fear that was surrounding us then in 2009 as they further put in their digital infrastructure and began to, continue to beta test their technology for biometrics in the Middle East. And again, this is that predator class. And then at the same time, begin to institute the kind of technology that would lead to a social credit score in China, right? That's all happening. All that's happening during all this. And by the way, only 51 thumbs over on YouTube. You better get them up if you want us to go another 10 minutes on YouTube, because this is going to be a long video over at The Rockfit, uncensored.
On Wednesday.
Energy,
Oh, you see that? He's got the mask on right after the piggy flu.
climate, food, population, economic pressures. Any one of these challenges might be very serious in itself. But because they're happening all simultaneously, it's going to be very difficult for our governments to cope.
When I look at the next century, I feel it's up for grabs.
Raising sea level.
Catastrophic weather. 10-year drought.
It's scary.
These are things that are happening today.
The time for action is now.
The world had never known such uncertainty. We were used to having what we wanted and doing what we wanted.
We were used to having what we wanted and doing what we wanted. Bad humans. We don't like your freedom. Oh, you want to have stuff and do stuff? No, there's only going to be a class of humans that gets to do that and then decides what you get to have. Like, that's the message again and again. You're bad. You have too much stuff. You have too much freedom. You live too good. And we're hearing that echoed now again and again and again and again. And if you ain't feeling it, brother, if you didn't just see the Obama birthday bash where we're literally, remember when he was like lightning God in the sky in Rolling Stone? I did like a whole graphic on it in Invisible Empire. Like now, it's like selfie as everybody dances in a party because they've defeated the Delta variant, obviously, without masks, right? Where lightning's coming off as they disco dance party. See what's going on here? They're different classes of people. But they'll tell you we were used to doing what we wanted and having what we wanted. Bad.
The analogy that I would draw is someone looking at their bank account and week after week they're withdrawing money and they're enjoying a good life. If they would bother to read the statements, they would see that the bank account is dropping $900, $800, $700, $600. And at that rate, you know that in another 6 months of the good life, there's not going to be a good life anymore.
So basically, we're all like irresponsible rock stars that had a one-hit wonder. We don't know how to manage our lives and continue to work hard and continue to own our stuff. And we're going to equate that with coal, by the way, because coal's bad, and we shouldn't use that. And you're a bad human, and bad, and bad, bad, bad.
We've acted as though we were independent of the environment. We've burned fossil fuels. We've overused our renewable resources.
We've overused, listen, again, that is a mythos. If that is a mythos, they keep telling you, like for instance, Bill Gates has said that we really can't replant trees anymore because, the soil just won't do it. And instead of working on, technology and bioengineering that would solve that problem, no, we'll do Monsanto seeds. That's what we'll do. We'll do a profit. No, we'll print your food. No, you'll eat bugs. How about that? Old Schwabi. He likes that. Schwab wants you to eat bugs. And by the way, guys, let's get 100 thumbs up over on YouTube by 20 minutes into this video, or we're just going to pull it at 20 and go to the Rockfin. But again, this is going to be we're 4 minutes into this thing. This is going to be a long video.
In the belief that we could do that forever.
People are complaining about the economic crisis we have right now. You haven't seen nothing yet. If we continue down this suicidal pathway that we're on, where we basically turn living stuff into dead stuff and call that economic growth, this will look like the good old days.
It's going to look like the good old days. They just gave Van Jones $100 million. Was it Soros who gave it to him? Let's look it up. Let's do it live. I'm just going to type in Van Jones $100 million. Literally got Dr. Evil money. Okay? Literally, dude got Dr. Evil money. All right? Oh, it's Jeff Bezos gave it to him. That's nice. Man, 100 mil. Oh, look at that. Yeah. Ride that cowboy, Bezos. I'm sure there's nothing behind that. Look at that guy laughing. You think Jeff Bezos is gonna have the same carbon footprint restrictions that you are? Like, get real. Let's get that 100 up. You got 2 minutes.
Although the world I was born into was running out of so much water, oil, land, I remember a loving.
Again, we're not running out of any of those. Water, oil, or land right now, no. That's bull. That's bullshitsky and Hutch.
Family, a big house, green lawn, more water than we knew what to do with. My parents must have known what was happening.
You see that? Again, they're guilting you. We're telling you you're not going to have this. It's your fault. You're not going to have a nice lawn. It's your fault. You're not going to have a nice house. It's your fault. You consume too much.
We had a compact car and recycled. And it wasn't just us. Smart, imaginative people everywhere were working furiously on solutions. Our government was pouring money into alternative energy. It seemed like everyone was growing their own vegetable garden. Windmills were sprouting up all over. People were beginning to understand. But the clock was running out.
Bum, bum, bum. Again, all this stuff, the clock was running out. A glacier melted, and then later, it will refreeze. Come on. By the way, we got 15 seconds left, and we got 4 likes to go. If we don't get that 100, we're cutting it. We're only going to Rockfin. And don't worry, the vast majority of this is going to Rockfin. I don't think I'm going to get past 20 minutes onto this until we go to Rockfin. In fact, this may end up being a part 1 because I don't even know if I can do 2 hours.
And nature was always one step ahead.
Flowers are blooming earlier, and trees are leafing earlier. Birds are coming back from migration much earlier.
If you were to pull back from the Earth, what you would see is
sort of a refugee movement, if you will. And species are moving their ranges farther north to get to cool, from south to north, and from the valleys up to the mountaintops.
That really? Huh? Oh, the Summer of the Dragonfly in 2014. Didn't actually happen. We did get that cicada run, though, and they were like, why don't we eat bugs?
Of course, as a child, I didn't notice these things, having nothing to compare it to. I was a little girl enchanted by my small world, until one summer, thousands, maybe millions of dragonflies showed up out of nowhere. They were delicate and beautiful, and I put one in a jar. My mother was puzzled and looked them up. They were supposed to be in Cuba, not Miami.
But here's the thing. While they fearmonger this, right, they let Bill Gates release genetically modified mosquitoes for malaria into the wild. Like, that's not dangerous. But again, the propaganda is that you're the problem and this is going to happen. I just want to point that out.
It was not until much later that I realized they were a sign of what was to come.
It's 2015, 6 short years from now, and the best laid plans are getting underway. A wave farm off Scotland is harnessing the ocean's energy. Vatican City has gone totally solar. And here in America, cars are running cleaner and more efficiently.
All bullshit, except for the subsidized Tesla stuff that we've seen, right? And the push, because Tesla's got the contracts via SpaceX for the military, and Blackjack gets to piggyback on Starlink as it goes up. You know, DARPA's Starlink. See, that's the reality here now, but we're not even into 2020 yet. And again, they're still propagating narrative bullshit. And it's the type of narrative bullshit that we're hearing now. And again, this whole 100-year period is to fearmonger. They're not revealing all their plans in this other than you're bad, you're the problem, you're going to mask up, you're going to quarantine, it's all your fault.
Still, we cling to that old habit, oil. It's getting harder and more expensive to find.
You know, again, it really didn't feel that way under the Trump administration. It's weird how, along with all this other inflation, immediately we felt the gas prices.
Coast motorists are searching for relief from soaring gas prices in California.
We could see a doubling or tripling of real oil prices. That's after inflation. We're running out of oil.
Doubling or tripling after inflation. Now, I want you to really hold on. Can you imagine if this crisis and all the money they've printed, and again, just the energy policies that this administration has tried to pump through, where we're already paying about 30% more than we were before the transition of power, right? Like January-ish, about 30% more. Can you imagine a doubling or tripling? Could happen, I guess.
And we've created a society, the American way of life is what we call it, based on the assumption that oil will be plentiful forever.
The large spread out suburbs that we've grown accustomed to, the strip malls, the big box stores with their enormous parking lots around them, all of those have been made possible because we've had cheap gasoline. And as energy becomes much more expensive, you'll see that those areas become less desirable places to live.
Gutting the suburbs? Making them less desirable to live? Is that, I wonder if equity might have something to do with that lately. You know, equity, and also defunding the police so there's less law enforcement and maybe catch and release. So you'll never hear about those policies being the real drivers of why. No, it's you, and you like gasoline, you bastards.
The first time I moved, I was 6. A lot of people were leaving the suburbs for the city.
A lot of people were leaving the suburbs for the city. Damn, they want you in that box. They want you in that box so bad. So bad. And by the way, shout out to Patty Weimers for the tip over at Rockfin. And I think that we got another one over here as well. Patty always supporting the program. Let me see this. Boop Boop Information says this. This is crazy. Thanks for the great content. Do you talk to David Knight? I've never actually spoken to David. Like you, he's been on point for a while. I don't understand why Jones still pushes Trump. Keep up the great work. Yeah, the Trump stuff, I don't even want to get into all the Trump stuff unless it relates to this, because I think that this really supersedes all of that when you take a look and you realize that, again, this was propaganda they were putting out over a decade ago. And I had done a show on a lot of this way back when and still forgot. A lot of people are like, you got a mind like a steel trap. I forget shit too. Stuff I used to talk about. I can't remember everything. But when I started talking about it, I vividly remembered it.
There were new jobs, and you didn't need a car for everything. My dad was going to work on the new streetcar system in Miami. And my mother told me we were going to live on the top floor of an apartment building. She said we'd see the palm trees below us. I was excited, but also a little sad to leave.
As the price of oil goes up, it will ripple through every part of the global economy.
In Washington today, protesters demanded an end to rising food prices.
Protesters... Notice we're having rising food prices, right? And again, it's all blamed on us and oil. It's certainly not blamed on lockdowns or shutting down the economy. No. All right, we're riding almost 30 on YouTube. We're not even at 9 minutes of the actual video. We got 191 watches. Let's get it to 150 likes before we hit 30, and then we will continue on YouTube as well. And remember to make that free Rockfin account because we're going late tonight.
Our agriculture system is almost wholly dependent on cheap oil. Tremendous amounts of diesel fuel that are used in planting and harvesting, and then moving this stuff all these vast distances.
By 2015 in the United States, add about 20 million people to the population, and then just play out what that does to consumption patterns. I mean, the number of people that we've got to feed. There's just basically this slow creeping tension for natural resources.
Except for we throw away a ton of food. We throw away a ton of our resources. There's plenty of land for people to live on. We've played even the Musk clips of him talking about population implosion and really the myth of overpopulation. But that's not what they're pushing. No. No. Earth 2100.
As the American way of life becomes increasingly unsustainable,
remember that? Unsustainable? Remember sustainability? Dennis Bushnell? No more growth. Sustainability is the code word. Malthus 101. Population control. They don't like Western life. They're telling you now, again, that we've had it too good for too long. All right? And here they were doing the same thing.
The rest of the world will be trying to catch up.
The Chinese like cars, and they like big cars. You have 14,000 cars added to China's roads daily.
Incomes are rising really rapidly. They're moving into meat-based diets.
You need 10 pounds of grain to get 1 pound of meat. There is simply no way that the rest of the world can start eating meat the way we do.
They demonize meat. Meat that grows strong muscle and healthy bodies. They don't like it. We got 15 seconds left, guys. Are we going to get those 6 thumbs? Are we going to get to 150? Or are we cutting it here and we're going to the fin?
If everyone in the world consumed as much as the average American, it would take the resources of 4 Earths to support the planet's population. Which raises the question, should the rest of the world consume less, or should we?
Oh, what is the question? And it doesn't look like we're going to make it. Nope, we didn't. We didn't get to 150 thumbs up. I'm sorry, guys. I apologize. Look, here's the deal. We're going to finish this over at the Rockfin. I don't know that we're going to do it all tonight because we're at 10 minutes and we did a half hour. And again, this is an hour and 20 plus. But Cheryl, we did get 151 likes and then it went down to 149 for some reason. I guess we'll do it. I guess we'll keep going. All right, we'll keep going.
American habits, though, are hard to break.
We in the U.S. have gotten used to the idea that we're somehow immune to natural limits and it's the other people who are going to suffer.
Good morning, Miami. The summer of 2015 is on track to become one of the hottest in history. Temperatures are expected to be in the triple digits.
And again, fear-mongering with this idea it's going to get too hot, the climate's bad, we're running out of gas, when in fact we saw runs on gasoline and other things and shortages, via the cutoffs that we saw, with UN suggestions and World Health Organization suggestions.
My mother and I were waiting for gas. The line went around the block and then some. Nothing new. But this time, the line had stopped moving altogether.
$5.65 gas.
A man who worked at the gas station came out holding a sign. People started yelling, and they got out of their cars and started moving towards him. My mother got us out of there fast.
Ooh, scary. Scary things could happen. Scary, scary.
I've been staking out an area that's been hit hard recently by gas snatchers. I look at him, he gets out, walks right up to the car. Wow. Look at this. Right in the middle of the day. This car's going by and these guys are siphoning gas out of someone's car.
In the face of mounting protests over rising gas and food prices, Congress today approved a plan to fund the construction of 40 new coal-fired power plants over the next 5 years.
The country took the easy way out. Coal was once again touted as our so-called salvation.
The easy way. And you notice, though, to the Trump administration's credit, they were using coal. And even though, Biden said there was going to be no restrictions, Biden said a lot of things. I mean, he barely said them because he can barely speak. But yeah.
But the more coal we burned, the faster our planet warmed. You get the picture.
Yeah, I get the picture, all right. You want us to stop having a good lifestyle. You want us to be subservient to a predator class. You want global government. You want total control.
We're spewing more carbon, more methane, more nitrous oxide into the atmosphere. All the bad things of climate change are coming true.
And most people were just going along with their everyday lives as if nothing had changed.
And until we have a crisis of some kind, I don't think we're going to be motivated to wake up and say, okay, now we have to change.
Sometimes it takes a big shock to get people, out of the inertia that's built into the system.
Huh. I wonder what kind of crisis they could use now they're talking about rolling lockdowns every couple of years. Maybe so there wasn't a virus or anything. I don't know. It's weird.
They are calling it the storm of the century. Hurricane Linda, packing Category 5 winds.
Big storms weren't unusual, but this one was bigger than the others, and it was headed for Miami.
All coastal regions are being evacuated. When this storm makes landfall, we are going to see a tremendous storm surge.
My mother was a nurse, and she wouldn't leave until all the sick were evacuated from the hospital. My father was afraid we wouldn't get out in time. I was afraid, too.
I was afraid, too. Man, a lot of fear in this. I got to tell you, it doesn't seem like there was a lot of good times in this person's life. That's kind of shitty, huh? My nieces, they're 10 and 12. That means around the age range of this. I can assure you, other than this last, total COVID-19 84 nightmare, there was nothing that equated to all this fear.
Those who make the decision not to evacuate face life-threatening danger. Between the howling winds and those giant surging waves, Miami is a very scary place to be right now.
Again, scary. I mean, the fear. Podesta, Van Jones, scary. Humans bad. Masks. Quarantine. Pandemic viruses. Plagues.
2015 is only 6 years away, but many experts say that if the world has not reached an agreement to massively reduce greenhouse gases by then, we could pass a point of no return.
The no return point, right? And remember AOC moved the goalpost again on the no return point in 2018? They're always moving the goalpost of the no return point. No return, no return, no return. Give me a break.
If we're still dragging our feet in 2015, it really becomes almost impossible for the world to avert a degree of climate change that we simply will not be able to manage.
The longer we wait without addressing these challenges in an aggressive way, the more likely it is we're going to end up with really bad outcomes.
This morning, in the aftermath of Hurricane Linda, we are seeing the first images of what remains of Miami.
Neighboring communities have been overwhelmed by hundreds of thousands of evacuees seeking refuge.
Climate change. What remains of Miami?
The evacuation center was as big as an airplane hangar. Maybe it was an airplane hangar. And so jammed with people, it was hard to move. It was hot. It was noisy. We were there 3 weeks. There was nowhere for us to go. Nowhere for anybody to go. We watched the news on TV. I was only 6, but it looked to me like the whole world was in trouble.
Some 250,000 Bangladeshi refugees fleeing from last month's devastating cyclone are massing on the Indian border.
And by the way, natural disasters happen globally. I want to make that very clear. For them to act like, globally, nothing's happening ever. I mean, again, it's just more of this propaganda nonsense.
Thousands riot as China faces its worst wheat shortages in a decade, the result of seemingly endless drought.
World leaders are gathering in Washington, D.C. to attend an emergency global summit meeting.
Hopes are high.
Global summits, and here's the war games. Here's Johnny Podesta running the show. And by the way, guys, we're almost at 40 minutes. Let's get 200 thumbs up before 40 minutes, and we'll keep it rolling on the YouTube. We want people to see this. I want them to understand how subconsciously we've been programmed to even accept the nightmare that's going on now.
But the world might finally reach an historic climate agreement.
This is the first time the whole planet is in that kind of a crisis.
The whole planet.
And the whole planet has to join in meeting a crisis of epical proportions.
In 2008, the Center for the New American Security, a Washington think tank, staged an elaborate game. The goal was to simulate a global summit on climate change. The year is 2015. The context for the game is Lucy's context. Miami has been devastated by a hurricane and Bangladesh ravaged by a cyclone. The people who are playing the roles of global leaders are in fact high-level policymakers from around the world.
See that? Again, legitimizing global government, and everybody said that these guys were paper tigers. And now we know they're not paper tigers, and that they're instituting policies globally that are locking us down. By the way, less than a minute, we need 14 thumbs, or we're going exclusive on Rockfin. So you want us to keep going? You want to understand how this works? How this whole, they want to call it, a technocracy. No, it is a technopoly of the predator class right here. Let's go. Less than 60 seconds. Get those thumbs up.
Let me be very clear. Our time is running out.
John Podesta, President Obama's transition chief, is playing the role of UN Secretary General.
Indeed, today in October of 2015, no country, no city is exempt from the ravages of climate change, as we saw so tragically.
Look, he loves those blue flags, John Podesta. He loves it. 10 thumbs to go. I don't know if it's going to happen. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Guys, I'm going to tell you what. Now's the time to check the links down below. Go make the Rockfin account. We're going to continue over there. I don't know if this is going to be first in the series, but what you saw was really the first 16 minutes of this. Earth 2100, if you want to watch it without my commentary, it's out there. You can find it, and we're going to continue to go on. I do appreciate you. Go make the free account. They're not censoring me over there. They're not age restricting people. They're not stopping you from, speaking your mind and showing evidence outside of the mainstream narrative. So, guys over at YouTube, I love you, but I'll see you on the flip side.